Welcome, two-time Grammy winning, 10 times Grammy nominated producer, all the way from New Jersey. Welcome, Illmind to Vlad TV.
Appreciate it. Yeah, thanks for the invite. Shout to Vlad TV. Shout to you guys. You guys are the OGs in this space at this point. Still crushing it, so it's an honor to be here.
For sure. Yeah, I'm honored too. I have a soft spot for producers.
Oh, that's
So,
good.
you know.
That's good. That's good. Hopefully for good reason. Yes, because it's pretty hard what we do.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
And your catalog is insane.
Thank you.
Like, how do you feel just being where you are from where you came? I know you've been grinding for a long time.
It feels great. It feels great. I wake up every day like pinching myself, like reminding myself that like this is real, The adventure of being a music producer is both really fulfilling, but also very unpredictable. Right. And so you're like balancing this these feelings of excitement and abundance and fulfillment, but also, many things don't work and failing many times, and understanding that, you really need to have that consistency and thick skin to really last in this industry. And, I'm still learning. Every day I'm still learning about the process, but it's been pretty incredible, man. So I'm really just grateful every day.
Definitely. It's crazy because I think Vlad started out making beats, but he was like, well, I'm not good at it, so abort mission.
That's good. I mean, it worked out,
for
sure.
Yeah,
so.
For sure. Man, if you don't mind, just want to start at the beginning. I know you're from New Jersey. What was that like growing up? I feel like, there's so many stars that come out of New Jersey. We have Queen Latifah, Redman, Ice-T, Fetty Wap, you. But how does it feel to be from New Jersey and putting that city on the map?
It's pretty crazy, being from Jersey. There's so many, you've named all legends, right? And I think that Jersey is kind of a unique place because it's like right next to New York. It's almost like the fifth borough in a way. And so a lot of the New York feeling and influence is in New Jersey. I think that in terms of music, we still have a lot to prove, I think, right? I've been living in Brooklyn, New York for the past 12 years. And so I kind of feel like I'm in both. Like I feel like I'm from Brooklyn, but I'm from Jersey, obviously. And so there's a lot of similarities with the two, but Jersey has birthed many, many legends, like you named. Obviously, Just Blaze from Patterson,
right? And
he's one of the GOAT producers. So it feels great to know that I'm coming from a place with like other legends, right? So,
definitely.
Yeah.
What brought you to Brooklyn?
So I moved to Brooklyn about 12 years ago. And it's the energy there is just incredible. Obviously it's home of legends like Biggie, obviously, and I'm not going to name them because you guys probably know by now, but there's a certain energy in Brooklyn, and being around the people and being around that definitely is influential in like my decision making, my sound, what I'm influenced by, the different like textures and colors and sounds that exist in Brooklyn are super inspiring. So that's been kind of like a part of my heart for a long time. Yeah,
definitely. How was it? Because I think Vlad actually relocated to New York at the height of the hip hop era, like when the mixtapes were popping, the CDs, the DVDs. How was that era for you? Because I imagine you're a hip hop head. I know you liked J Dilla for sure. That's a legend. Rest in peace.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was a fun time. It was a fun time. I felt like they were simpler times, right? It was very much, Fat Beats New York was still there, and like the record shopping was like a thing. And you'd have like pop-up shows happening like a lot more often, like damn near every day almost. There was some type of event, like big or small, right? And so it was very energetic. There was a lot of energy in New York, and I would say like, well, for me, my era was kind of like 2004, 2005 was when I really started going hard. on producing. So that was when I was active, like going to New York from New Jersey, commuting and going to the parties. And yeah, it was a good time, man. Like it was a lot of building, a lot of like legendary artists were like born, not born literally, but like birthed their careers during that era. So yeah, you know, it's hip hop has come such a long way. And I think we're still pulling influence from that era, you know, just in everything that we do right now. And I think that's a testament to how special that era was. And, you know, obviously, yeah, J Dilla is the producer and the reason why I do this, right?
That's beautiful.
When I first heard his beats, me hearing his beats was what made me want to pursue music production. Cause, you know, the way he flipped sound and the way his beats sounded just made me so curious and so inspired that I've always just used him as kind of like the blueprint for, you know, 99% of everything I do. So
crazy,
yeah.
99%.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, you know, his movement and his approach, his instinct, is what I've studied and what has become part of my own process, right? You know, it's like I always tell people, you know, how interesting would it be if J Dilla was alive? What kind of beats would he be making today? And like when I say that, I get chills because it like my mind is blown by the types of things he would have done if he was still around. And so, you know, one of the things that I really appreciate about J Dilla is how diverse he is with his music. You know, he does soul, he does dirty Detroit club music, he does dance music even, right? And the thing that I noticed about J Dilla is what really, really sets him apart isn't his bass lines or his drums or his swing or him being the godfather of lo-fi, which in my opinion he is. J Dilla, what sets him apart from everyone else is his instinct to take a soul record and chop it in the way that he does and then decide to not add any drums because the shit slap already, right? And that's, you know, I'm referring to Donuts.
For sure.
And so
Iconic.
he just has these instinctual movements in his music, and I've always admired that. And so that's what I always try to tap into, regardless of what genre I'm producing.
For sure. It's funny because I just interviewed AG Shike. I don't know if you're familiar with him. He's an LA rapper.
Not super familiar.
But he said he couldn't figure out Pro Tools. Was it hard for you to learn? And how was that first beat?
Yeah. So it wasn't super, I wouldn't say it was hard to learn. It just took a long time to get used to it and to just like be able to maneuver around Pro Tools. And I'm glad I started early in learning Pro Tools because, you know, fast forward many years later, it's still industry standard. You know, every studio you go into, it's Pro Tools. So me knowing how to maneuver around it relatively quickly is always a plus, you know, because I'm an engineer too, technically, right? Like I can get in a session and if we need to get vocals done, as long as they have Pro Tools, I could be the engineer in the session and knock it out. So, and then my first beats were bad, of course. Yeah, you know, my first beats were, I was basically copying my idols and learning. In doing that, I was learning how to make beats. So it's almost like they mentored me without me knowing I was being mentored. Like I would copy J Dilla's beats, like just to understand how he made his beats. And then I would copy, you know, Manny Fresh, and I would copy, you know, Pete Rock and DJ Premier and like just all these incredible producers, DJ Quick, Dre. And in copying them in the early days, I was able to sort of like pick up those techniques a little bit and study those techniques and then you know, insert my own technique in the process. And you know, when you do that for enough years, you kind of get a rhythm for things. And so I'm still learning every day and still finding new bops and new grooves to learn from. And so it's been a really fun process. Yeah.
Definitely. It's crazy. You mentioned Dre. I was just listening to the Eminem show on the road trip. Was there, like, that album changed it for me. Was there an album that changed it for you? Like,
Yeah, again, I'll go back to Dilla.
Okay.
Fantastic Volume 2,
Okay.
Slum Village. Like,
Oh, I love Slum Village.
yeah, like that album changed my perspective on how fire beats could be, man. Like, just I've never heard any beats so fire at that time. And when I heard them, I was just the soul and the movement and just the cadences were so incredible. And that, you know, that was the album that was like, for me, the nail in the coffin. When I heard it, I was like, all right, I'm doing this shit. Like, I'm gonna try, like, I'm gonna pursue beat making and producing. Sure. So yeah, I would say Fantastic Volume 2, but you know, there's so many albums. Like, I just have to pick that one because like Dilla is basically the GOAT. So,
definitely. Before did you work any part-time jobs before the music?
So yeah. I worked at a record store at the mall, like a music store when they used to exist. So like CDs and all that shit. And I'm pretty sure that was the last like job. I had a job. Actually, I did have a job teaching. So I worked at a nonprofit organization in Harlem. And it was an after school program where kids would come there and there would be tutoring and art services. So there was like a graphic design class, there was theater class, and then there was a music class. And so I actually worked at the music class in this after school program in Harlem, and we would, you know, teach the kids Pro Tools and Reason, and just teach them how to make beats. And it was a really, really amazing program because what it does is it takes inner city kids in Harlem, and the concept is it takes them off the street and puts them somewhere else where they could where they could learn the arts and, you know, just kind of change the dynamic of, you know, what they're able to do. And so I was able to do that, and that was around 2008 for a couple of years I worked there. So yeah.
Amazing. That must have been fun being in a music.
It was super fun. It was super fun. And there was so much talent too. Like, you got to think high school kids in 2010 are now, you know, in their mid 20s, right? Mid to late 20s. So it's like, you know, the amount of talent that was in there, I can imagine, you know, I like, you got me thinking about some of my students now, because I'm like, yeah, they're probably at that age where they're either like really, really knee deep in pursuing it, or like experiencing like some type of like success story of some sort.
I love that. What was your first big placement then?
Mine?
Yeah.
So that answer kind of changes sometimes, because technically my first big sort of like life-changing alteration was probably with 50 Cent. It was a song I did called Make a Movie. And that was back in 2006 when I was doing some work with G Unit, when they were really like on top of the world back then. But the real life-changing moment for me and placement was The Morning on Cruel
Kanye.
Summer. Yeah.
That's good iconic.
Music. Yeah. Good music, Kanye album. The song called The Morning. And, you know, I had everyone on it. It was Cudi, Raekwon, Common, 2 Chainz, D'banj. Kanye was on it. Raekwon. So, you know, to have produced a song like that at that time was definitely a turning point. And so, you know, from there, it just really starts to snowball.
Right. I definitely want to touch on that, but I want to touch on the G Unit stuff first. Well, real quick before that, I saw that you worked with Little Brother early on too as well.
I did. Yeah, that was around the G Unit era.
Oh,
so
okay.
I ended up producing 4 songs on the Get Back album.
Wow.
Which came out in 2008, and that was the second to last Little Brother album, I believe, before they went on like a small break.
Yeah.
But yeah, the Little Brother days made me who I am. You know, that was, for me, it was all about J Dilla and OK Player and like the Roots and Little Brother, and you know, shout out to my big brothers, man, Ninth and Fonte and Pooh and Crisis too. They really embraced me early, you know, as like just this like kid from New Jersey, this Asian kid from New Jersey that like makes these like soulful, hard beats. And, you know, that was definitely a really amazing era. And I really miss those times, man. Because like I said, they were simpler times, but Little Brother, they're legendary.
For
Always.
sure. I don't know if you saw recently, but Doja Cat went on live and she was like rapping to them.
She was rapping the Listening album.
Yeah.
It's crazy. I mean, the music speaks for itself. You know, it's like there's longevity in it. And it's a testament to how special that music was. So
definitely.
Yeah, shout out to Little Brother.
For sure. Man, I definitely want to touch on 2006. How was that meeting with G Unit Records? I actually know Shaw Money, so shout out to him. What was going through your head? Because they eventually signed you to a management deal, right?
Yeah.
At 24 years old?
Yeah. So I got a DM from at the time the head of A&R, I believe he was head of A&R at G Unit, and his name's D Prosper. Shout to D Prosper. And he sent me a message on MySpace, and he's like, yo, Illmind, I heard your beats, they're fire, send me some stuff. And so I sent him some of my beats. I sent him like 30 beats. And a couple days later, he messaged me back and he's like, or I gave him my phone number and then he texted me and he was like, yo, your beats are fire. Shaw Money, our president G Unit wants to meet you. Come meet us. And so a couple days later, I went and I met Shaw Money and D Prosper over at a studio in New York City. This was 2006, 2005, something like that. And I met with Shaw Money, and the first thing he said to me was, yo, man, your beats are fire. You're like the Filipino fire, man. And like we started laughing. And I'll never forget that, because when you think about G Unit at that time, you're talking about 50 Cent, like just going like diamond and just being, he's literally just untouchable.
Right.
And then every single artist on his roster, platinum. Like at that time, that was unheard of. And it's actually still unheard of. Like, I don't think there's any like artist label where every single artist, like literally every single artist on that roster went platinum.
Wow.
So they were super iconic. And you know, I'm just a kid from New Jersey who got recognized by them enough to sign a management deal. So you know, we definitely got to know each other, and I signed a management deal, and it changed my life because it taught me work ethic and believing in myself and really just pushing myself to the limit, you know.
Sure.
And you know, I got in a little late. Like that was around the time where Unit was kind of like pivoting and changing its course, and then it started to kind of diminish over time. And so I didn't want to just rely on like being signed to you know, to what they were doing in G Unit. And I'm forever grateful to Shaw Money for giving me that opportunity. And so we had to pivot and do some things. So as a music producer, I started to explore different sounds and start working with different people. And, you know, from there, it obviously worked out. So
definitely.
Yeah. So shout to G Unit, shout to Shaw Money, D Prosper. I'm forever grateful for them for giving me an opportunity and really instilling that that work ethic in me, and knowing that, like, making me believe in myself.
For sure. Yeah. How were those early conversations with 50, and did you guys make the record in the studio?
Yeah. So they were really, really amazing. I mean, 50, he's a great guy, you know, like, I haven't seen him recently, right, in person, but
he's been killing it with power.
Yeah, he's 50. He's iconic. His jersey's on the rafter, you know, like he's a GOAT. And so, you know, all the conversations I've had with him have been like, he's just super passionate. You know, I remember going to his office one day, G Unit office in Manhattan, and he was just playing me. He's like, yo, I recorded to a bunch of your shit. So he was just like playing me a bunch of stuff that he recorded to my beats. And just, you know, that was one of those moments again where I was just like, man, I can't believe I'm like here with 50. And he's like playing me stuff that he rapped over. Like my beats are good enough for 50 to want to rap over them. And that's what kept going on in my mind. And so shout to Fifth, man. He's incredible.
Did you end up working with other artists on the label?
Yeah. I connected with Yayo but we to this day we haven't been able to make anything together. But
Yeah.
but he's another one, another goat. So
Definitely. I know 2010 you signed a bad publishing deal, right?
yes, 2010. I wouldn't say it was a bad publishing deal. It just
Okay.
wasn't the right publishing deal.
Okay.
Right. And so I signed it. It's your typical, music producer on the come up. You sign a bad publishing deal or a publishing deal that you shouldn't have signed. And eventually you have to kind of work that out after that. Right. And so that was my moment of like signing a not so great contract. Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Do you have any advice? Because I know there's probably a lot of aspiring producers who want to do what you do.
Find a lawyer.
Right.
Yeah. I neglected it, right? I just like went ahead and signed it because I needed the money. And it was a bad decision. But I would say just to make it completely super simple, just find a lawyer.
Right.
Yeah. Before you sign any paperwork, find an attorney.
For sure. And the first beat you ever sold was $50?
Yeah, basically. I used to sell beats from my mom's basement when I was like just knocking beats out. And I'm pretty sure I was charging, $50, maybe even $25. Like, yeah, it was like that. Yeah.
How much are your beats now?
I
know I saw you say you don't work with.
My beats are 10,000x, 10,000 times 50. So about 50, maybe 50K or whatever.
Damn.
It just depends on the situation.
Yeah. I love it. Definitely want to touch on The Morning, Cool Summer. How did that song come about? If you could give us the backstory, and how did you get in with Kanye?
Yeah.
Oh, the Rhyme. I know you met Rhyme Fest.
Yeah. So I'll give you like the super straight version of it. So 2010, I did an album with this amazing rapper from Brooklyn named Skyzoo, one of my great friends.
Fire.
And, yep. And so it was an album called Live from the Tape Deck. It ended up getting a XXL rating in XXL Mag, and or XL rating. And on that album, we had a feature from Rhymefest. And so in recording that album, I really got to like create a relationship with Rhymefest. And so a couple years later, around 2000, late 2011, early 2012, he hit me and he was like, yo, you got any beats I'm with Kanye. You got any beats? And I was like, absolutely. So I was experimenting with different sounds at that time. I was like very much exploring different things, combining like dirty drums and dirty textures with like trap music. And I sent him a batch, and then a few months later, I would say August of 2012, he texted me, Rhymefest texted me. He's like, yo, Kanye wants one of these beats, this beat. Can you send me the stems? And I was like, I got you right now. So I sent him the stems. And then a couple minutes later, he's like, yo, this track's crazy. Raekwon is jumping on this. And I was like, oh shit, fire.
Chef.
And then later on, he goes, yo, Kid Cudi is on this, And so all these different people start jumping on the record, and I'm over here tripping like, yo, this is nuts. This is nuts right now. What's happening? And this is on my birthday.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So, it's the day before my birthday.
Still, that's amazing.
And so, and then I got a text saying, yo, Kanye wants to use this for the project. And I got a text from Shay Pope, who was working with Kanye at the time. And he's like, yo, I think Kanye wants to use one of your beats. And I was like, yeah, I've been talking to Rhymefest, I know. And so everything just started, as the minutes started going by, it started getting more real and real.
Yeah.
And then a few minutes later after that, I got an email from this woman at the label. And she's like, hey, Illmind, just want to get your info to clear this song that you produced on Kanye's compilation. And I was like, okay, this is really happening.
Yo.
And so we went through with it, and it ended up on Cruel Summer.
Right.
And just iconic album, and I'm super grateful to be a part of that. I think there's a lot of people's favorites on it because it was just like such a long song with so many goats on it.
Sure.
And that definitely, like, I felt like that like kind of, it was a stamp for me. That's
For
like a
sure.
stamp. That's like one of those stamps in your passport. It's like
Yeah.
this stamp right here, though,
Yeah.
is what like really started it off. That kicked it off. Because
Wow.
after that, for me, you know, you started having different publishers calling me and
Right.
different people like, oh, finally like waking up to like Illmind. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah.
After all these years. And this is post G-Unit, you know what I mean?
Right.
And so that wasn't a turning point for me. It was a new era. It allowed for me to step into the limelight a little bit and really transform into what I am today.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think it was originally Kanye wanted to use it for a Pusha T song.
Yeah. 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 So he, the Up Rhyme Fest hit me and he was like, yo, first he said, yo, I think we want to use this for Push. And then it obviously ended up
Right.
turning crazy. So
Was it like, because, you know, Kanye's a producer himself, so he's probably, I don't know, is it different to like create these beats for people that also produce and have?
no, I mean, back then maybe it wasn't happening as often, but
Right.
nowadays it definitely, you know, a norm. You know, you have so many different producers and co-producers on a song, a lot of different decision making.
Right.
It's less of one producer giving you a beat and doing the whole thing, and it's more of like, you know, many different people on one record kind of doing one little part.
Right. How was it hearing the end result though? What was your reaction? You got comment on it too?
It was crazy. I remember when I first heard the full song, when the album came out, I was in my car and I hit it and I just bumped it. I remember just driving around and playing it like on repeat. Like, oh,
I
I
would
can't
too.
believe, like, yeah, like I can't believe like I
Right.
did this, like I was part of this,
Right.
You know. So
And then
that's by the way, that's a slept on album too today. Like that's low key like a fire compilation though. I want to make that clear. Like
Cruel Summer?
yeah, like
Yeah.
there's some gems on that album
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
so-
Were you able to do more with Kanye after that?
No, not yet.
Okay.
I'll say that yet. You know what I mean? He's, to me, regardless of what he's going through or what people are saying about him, he's still Kanye.
Right.
His jersey is on the rafter. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like he's a GOAT. So
Right.
I'm always gonna forever look up to him, respect his work, his catalog, and I'm always gonna super, super, super aspire to want to work with him
Right.
again one day.
For sure. Have you
Yeah.
seen the documentary?
Yeah, it's incredible.
Okay. Right?
Yeah.
It's funny because I actually interviewed Jeff Basker for Vlog, and he was playing me all of the lights like first.
First version, crazy.
Yeah.
Jeff is a legend.
Right.
He's a legend. His catalog, what him and Kanye were able to do
Right.
was iconic.
Right.
Iconic. Yeah.
And he was saying how he made that in like 5 minutes.
I believe it.
Is it that easy sometimes?
Sometimes it is. Sometimes those really great ideas just come right out. They're
Right.
just so seamless and they're in the moment. And honestly, most times, a lot of the great music is born from just those like random,
Yeah.
quick moments. And you don't really often see or experience music being made over like a long period of time. Like if you're sitting there hours and hours and hours and you're trying to find something, a lot of times you won't find it, right? So
Right.
yeah, I believe it.
That's
Sometimes it
wild.
only takes a few minutes.
Right.
Yeah.
So that Kanye moment I'm sure people hit you to interview you. I'm sure your name got out there a lot more. How was that for your own artistry? And yeah, how yeah.
It was great. I think it helped me kind of gain a little bit more respect as a producer. And that allowed for me to position myself in different ways. And as many people know, I do so much outside of just being a music producer too. It's like, I have my my sound pack business that I actually launched in 2012,
Oh,
right? So that was the
crazy.
same year as the Kanye thing. And it was perfect timing because I had started releasing sound packs. And for those of you who don't know, that's kind of like what Splice does is, you have these original sounding melody loops and drum sounds, and they're tools for music producers. And so I was one of the first producers to release a sound pack. This was all way back 2012, before they were even really, mainstream at all. So I was doing that. And then when the Kanye placement happened, it kind of propelled all of those other businesses that I was doing
Love
and
it.
starting, and just stuff I was trying, right?
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
at the end of the day, I'm just like a curious
Yeah.
creative person. And so I'm going to try the sound pack thing, and it worked out.
Mm-hmm.
And then that was also the year that I started my podcast. which was called
Right.
Blap on the Radio, which
Right.
before people even knew what a podcast was. And so all of these pieces kind of like work together to feed each other. And so, 2012 was like a big like turning point. It set me up for where I am today.
Definitely. Yeah. And how did you get the name Illmind?
Back in the day, one of my friends heard my beats, and I know he was lying because he my beats were not that good back then. Maybe they were, but I don't know. But he heard my beats and he was like, "Man, you have like a sick brain. You have like a sick mind, like an ill mind. Like what's?" And so when he said the word ill mind, I was like, "Yeah, that's cool. I'm gonna write that on a CD."
Yeah.
That's my name.
Oh man, I miss CDs.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
Good times.
Yep, good times.
It's crazy to me that you also worked on Disney's Moana. Mm-hmm. I remember going to the movies to watch that. Mm-hmm. How did these opportunities come? Because I know you then worked on the Hamilton mixtape, which is huge.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, again, you can trace it back to a few steps. So, I ended up doing an album with Joel Ortiz, another GOAT. And it was an album called Human back in 2015. And so we released that album earlier in the year. And 2015 was actually the same year that Lin Manuel, the creator of Hamilton on Broadway, took Hamilton to Broadway. And that was the year that it like catapulted to like astronomical levels.
Right.
And come to find out, around that time when it was growing, Lin was a huge fan of Joel Ortiz. He's always been a huge fan.
That's
he's always been a huge fan of Joel. And so when we released the album, I saw that Lin started following me on Twitter. And so I DM'd him and I was like, "Yo, Lin, respect. Like, congrats on Hamilton, all that stuff." And he was like, "Yo, I love the Joel Ortiz album. You guys killed it. Your beats are fire," or whatever. And so we just connected from there. We connected from there, and I was told from Atlantic Records that he was working on a Hamilton mixtape, and so my man Riggs Morales from Atlantic hit me, and he's like, "Yo, I'd love for you to work on some stuff for Hamilton mixtape," and then Lin obviously was excited to work, and that was how that was. That's how that started. And then for the Moana for Disney, that was just a phone call from Lin. Lin called me and he was like, "Yo, Ill, what are you doing?" I'm like, "I'm in the studio." He's like, "Yo, do you want to work on a Disney song with me?" And I was like, "Yes, absolutely. Let's do it." And so, yeah, we did it. And yeah, it got approved and it ended up being what it was. Yeah.
But yeah, just how did it feel seeing your outro credits on your work on the outro credits of a Disney movie that is in theaters?
Crazy. I have a 1-year-old daughter, and I'm looking forward to playing the movie for her. I played it for her a little too early, like when she was like 5 months, where she couldn't even fathom what was happening. I probably shouldn't even be playing that for her so young, but I want to one day, I want to hopefully one day play for her, and maybe she'll like it. And if she doesn't, that's fine. But I know that that project and that soundtrack and that song, definitely resonated. And again, just grateful for the opportunity. Grateful to Lin and Joel and just everyone that made that possible. For
sure. And how did it feel seeing your name on the Hamilton mixtape alongside, people like Nas, Common, The Roots?
Yeah, I mean, it's an honor, always an honor. I mean, like I said, these people got their jersey on the rafters. So just to be able to work with them and be on that project and have my own song on the project, which was pretty incredible.
Right.
It was an amazing time. Super honored. I mean, I'm still very grateful for all of that. So,
right.
Yeah.
I have to touch on J. Cole, Love Yours.
Yeah.
Like, if you want to talk about timeless hit records, like this is a song where he plays in the arena and all the lights are off and everyone has their phones out and you're literally almost on the verge of tears because it's so beautiful. How was it creating? Just give me the backstory on that song.
Yeah, so that was a beat that I did. I was like one of like 6 beats that I did one night. It was like 2, 3 in the morning. And while I was creating it, I knew it would be a storytelling song, a song that can tell some kind of impactful story and be the backbone for like something special. I really felt that when I made that. And shout to Cardiac and Critical for doing the pianos and stuff like that. So when Cole heard it, when I was in the studio with him, he played me the kind of like the first verse and then the hook, and he was explaining to me how Love Yours was intended to be like the concept for the entire Forest Hills Drive album, where the album is about reflection and self-love and abundance and and being grateful and paying attention to the things that really matter.
Totally.
And it changed my life. It changed many people's lives. And I always tell people like Love Yours by J. Cole is probably always going to be the most important record I've ever done. Like, it's not my biggest record. I mean, it just got a plaque. It just got a plaque, but
no biggie.
Cole performs it at every show. But and it's one of his favorite songs.
Right.
But I say all that to say that like it's not like meant to be like a mainstream hit that's like on the radio. It was so impactful, and it's still impactful. And when I first started hearing the stories of like people's lives being changed and people used to be suicidal, but they heard that song and they decided not to be, and just it was like super overwhelming in this like really amazing way, and it humbled the fuck out of me. And it's forever gonna be like right here, just like Love Yours is the most impactful song that I've ever had the honor of being a part of. And I don't know, if maybe there will be another one day, but I'm always gonna go back to Forest Hills Drive, Love Yours, as being like a really special moment for me.
Definitely.
And you have to credit obviously Cole, the GOAT. Like Cole really changed a lot of lives with what he said on that.
Totally.
So, yeah.
How did you end up in the studio with J. Cole?
So my man Matt, I met my man Money Making Matt, Surf Club Matt, from when he used to work at Universal Publishing. And he just like hit me. We connected one day and he was like, yo, I'm with Cole, working with Cole, send me some beats. I sent him a pack. And then he hit me back like, yo, this is the one that Cole wants, hold it for me. And then we ended up connecting. So
how was that first getting in the studio with Cole and then him playing you that first part?
It was fire. Like, I mean, when I first met Cole, first thing I said was, damn, this dude's tall as fuck. He was like, this guy should be a basketball player, which he is.
He is. He's hooping.
I didn't know he was that tall. So, but super cool, man. Cole's a super, super cool, humble, obviously extremely talented rapper, producer, but just like, he's just a good human, and I think he's one of the most genuine people and genuine rappers and just genuine people that's in this industry, and he's forever going to be top 5, man. For me. Like,
wow.
Yeah, top 5. I think he can get to top 5 all time. You know what I mean? Like, it's just, but he's definitely top 10 all time. Yeah. 100%.
For
1,000,000%. So, Cole, yeah, man, much respect to J. Cole for sure.
Who's in your top 5?
Damn, I knew you were going to ask that. I can't, my top 5 rotates every time, but I'll say, it's all the same names. It's Biggie, Hove, Nas, Biggie, Hove, Nas, Pac, and my fifth always changes. I gotta get back to you on my fifth. I mean, I'll put Kanye in there.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll put
for
Kanye.
Sure.
There's a lot.
Yeah. Definitely. How did Wrote My Way Out with Nas and Davies come about?
So that was just around the time that I was working on the Hamilton mixtape.
Okay.
It was, I was just in the studio and I was in there with Riggs Morales from Atlantic Records, and he was kind of explaining the concept for it. And, the fun part about the Hamilton mixtape was we were able to take the original Broadway music and then sample that to reflip and reimagine. And that was like a fun process for me. And so yeah, that one came out pretty crazy.
Were you in the studio with them?
No,
Okay.
I was into it with Lin when we were coming up with concepts, but
Yeah.
when I think they all recorded separately.
Got
on that
it.
one, yeah.
Definitely. Definitely want to touch on Khalid.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like 2017 was his,
That was his come up.
Yeah.
Shout to Khalid. I produced a song called Love You, or not Love Yours, Shot Down.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was the beginning stage of a star being born, So I think Khalid is one of the most interesting voices and most unique voices in music today. So yeah.
How did that happen? Because, 16 million views on YouTube. I'm sure those numbers are normal to you now, but
Khalid, Shot Down. My man 6 Sense hit me. He's a music producer, and he was like, "Yo, Ill, I'm developing this artist right now. His name's Khalid. I'd love to show you some of his work." And he sent me a song, and I was like, "Bet, he's fire. Like, what do you need? What do you want?" And so, me and 6 Sense started collaborating on beats, and one of the beats ended up being Shot Down.
Okay.
And so that was how I got to work with Khalid. Yeah.
Wow.
But this was. Again, no one knew, people didn't know he would be a star one day, and he just catapulted to greatness,
For
so
sure.
Shout out to Khalid, shout out to 6 Sense. Yeah.
Definitely. And that same year you ended up working with Bryson Tiller.
I did. Yep.
For
Worked with Bryson. We were kind of on a little R&B run that year.
Right.
So Bryson Tiller, yep. Ended up doing 2 songs on there. And yeah, that was a special time, special album. Bryson's again like one of our young greats.
Yeah.
I think he's done a lot in music, and I'm looking forward to what else he's got. So
definitely,
yeah.
It's just great to me because I know Boy Wonder brought you in on that one.
Mm-hmm.
I just feel like shout out to Boy Wonder, that's a legend for sure.
Go.
Yeah, how close and intimate is the producer community? Because I feel like a lot of times people will say, so-and-so brought me in and this ended up being the hit record. Obviously, I know with the Drake stuff too, he brought you in as well. Like, how was that? How is that to be able to be that collaborative spirit, not be competition and just work together?
Yeah, everything is collaborative, right? I think music, when you think about the way music was made in, the 1970s, or you think James Brown, there's stories of him, with his band would be set up in a studio like this, and it would be, a guitar player over here, a bass player over here, keyboard player over here, drummer over here, and they would literally just freestyle. They're playing music, and then James Brown would walk in, 5 minutes later, jump on the mic and just start doing his thing, and then the engineer would be recording the whole time, and that's how songs were born. And so when hip hop started, it was and technology, it was beat machines, MPCs, SP1200s, where you had these beat machines, and the process of making hip hop beats was taking those old James Brown records, looping them, and chopping them, and then adding your own drums. And that's how hip hop beats were essentially born. And so fast forward to now, for a long time, when you looked at production credits, it was produced by one person, right? Produced by Timbaland, produced by whatever. And so nowadays it's so collaborative because the way that we make music is a lot different, right? We're using laptops and we're still programming drums from scratch, but we're no longer, going to those old records as often as we used to, because we're composing our own music now, right? And the art of composing music is a real thing. It's a real thing. And so also the benefits of collaborating with producers is you don't have to get samples cleared, right? You don't have to experience like interpolation or sample clearance issues. And more of the publishing gets earned by the actual music creators. And so it's a really beautiful thing, man. The collaborative thing is essential. I think it's it allows for us to become like a more tight-knit community. And yeah, it's a special way to make music. And you know, I always am super grateful for all the relationships I have, all the collaborations I've been able to do with everyone. And we all mess around and send each other stuff and collaborate all the time. And for records to actually see the light of day and come out is always a super, super special thing.
Right.
Yeah.
It's just the beat to Ben's Truck was originally intended for Drake.
Yeah. Yeah.
Can you touch on that and how it felt to have two songs on Bryson's album?
Yeah, it just God, man, universe, like collaboration, like it's just me. From my perspective, it's really just like working super hard on many different things and just trying to create the best music I could. And anytime something lands, it's, you know, when you land a record, that's the universe. That's the universe making that happen. Or, you know, you can call it God too. And, you know, you can't really, it's a hard question to answer because when you try to dissect how each of these things happen, you can trace it back to just something so crazy.
Right.
So it's really just, it's really a crazy thing, man. Yeah.
How many plaques do you have now?
I have close to 40.
Oh my gosh. Where do you put them?
They're in my basement. They don't fit in my studio. Yeah. So what I did was I bought this digital frame where you could upload pictures. And so I just hung that up in my studio. And I have photos of my plaques just like rotating through. Like I can take the remote and I can switch up the plaque image on my TV. It's pretty cool. Yeah. So I'm like, you know what? I'm going to just like put all the plaques in the basement and then just use the TV screen to rotate through them. Yeah.
I think someone told me once you have to pay for the plaque.
You do.
Yeah.
You do. Sometimes, in rare cases, they'll gift it to you. Like the label will gift it to you.
Yeah.
But pretty much for the most part, yeah, you have to buy the plaques. Yeah.
Is there one that is the most meaningful?
I'm not going to say Love Yours because that you guys already know that's meaningful in its own way.
Yeah.
But meaningful plaque.
I know you got a lot to run through.
Meaningful plaque. I'm gonna say Drake. If you're reading this, it's too late, because that was the first plaque that I got. That was the first plaque that I physically purchased.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So that was the first one that I hung up on the wall and said, "Wow, I have a physical plaque that I get to hang up on the wall."
That's incredible.
Yeah, so Drake, if you're reading this, it's too late.
How was that moment? Because I think you had 2 songs on the project?
I had one song on there.
One song, okay.
A song called You and the Six. That was produced by me, 40, and Boy Wonder. It's just me working on hella music with Wonder. Like, and then him, of course, being, you know, one of the GOATs, OVO GOATs. He, you know, he brought that track in and Drake did it and it ended up being crazy. I remember Wonder told me before it came out, he was like, yes, the song's crazy. It's like one of his like illest songs where he's like really saying something meaningful on it. So it was cool, man. It was interesting because it was like, you know, you had Love Yours on J. Cole's album that came out that December 2014, and then the top of 2015, if you're reading this, it's too late. And both of those songs are like, you know, because Drake is talking about his parents. Yeah. He's talking about his relationship with his parents. And he hasn't really opened up in that kind of way before. So again, it was like another one of those like, oh, like this is like a, you know, like a special kind of like impact record. Yeah. And so again, it was, you know, an honor to be part of that.
Wow. Yeah. Were you able to cross paths with him?
Yeah. I met him at some kind of party. It was a party. It wasn't even in the studio. Okay. I don't remember what the party was, but there was some cool people there. Yeah.
Is it like, because, you know, obviously in the music industry, people email a lot and you meet them in real life and you're like, oh shit, you know, the virtual communication becomes real? Like how, was he like, oh shit, Illmind, you produced?
Nah, I wasn't even like that.
Okay.
I just spoke to him briefly. Like
Okay.
it was just like not even it was in a club. Like it was
Yeah.
literally
Oh,
like
okay.
in like a party. And
Yeah,
so it
yeah,
was
yeah.
like Jake, you know
Oh,
what I mean?
okay.
But every time that happens, like if I'm working with someone virtually, which is like very often these days, obviously, as you guys know, and then when pandemic hit, it was like it was over for that. But at least we're starting to get back in the studio now.
Right.
But yeah, it's always cool when you work with someone virtually or know about someone or meet a celebrity for the first time. After working with them, it's always like this weird, interesting, cool thing.
For sure. Man, so how did Blue Tint come about?
So Blue Tint was with me and Super Mario.
Oh, shout out to Super Mario.
Yeah.
I interviewed him around that time too.
Yep. And my boy Super Mario. Again, just a collaboration. You know what I mean? Like it's just really as simple as making great music and then collaborating with people and sharing ideas, and these MP3s and these beats that live on our hard drive eventually creep to the top and then end up somewhere. So, again, that's hard work, and that's God, that's the universe, doing what it does.
And what is your reaction when you see it make the project? Because I know that's like, producers wait around forever for their songs to be placed.
Yeah, amazing. Always. It's always this feeling of like, wow, how, like, this is crazy that this is actually happening, right? And so, yeah, it was an amazing feeling. Of course, super honored, always to be a part of, records like that. So, yeah, shout to everybody involved.
2017 was a big year for you. You actually had Zoom with Future as well from his self-titled album.
Yep. That was me and Fuse and Southside, 808 Mafia,
Okay.
working on stuff, So again, just another one, like work, got a bunch of music, and it ends up on a project. So yeah, shout to Future. Yeah, that was a good one.
I feel like people work their whole lives to get a song Future.
Yeah, absolutely. And he's like, if he doesn't have his jersey on the rafter yet, I mean, I feel like he does.
Yeah.
He's on his way. You know what I mean? Like Future is Future. You know what I mean? So yeah, it was an honor to work with him.
How was it in the studio with Southside too?
Well, I was mostly in the studio with Fuse.
Okay.
But Southside's super cool, man. Like we didn't do that. We weren't like in the studio together making the beat. But Southside's hella cool. Fuse, me and Fuse been in the studio, plenty of times, and they're all just like, just like anyone else, just passionate about music.
Yeah.
And wanting to, just make a difference. You know what I mean? And those guys are pioneers at doing that. So
right.
Shout out to 808 Mafia. And the funny thing is, like, I think people get this misconception of like what it looks like to make a song. I think people picture like, okay, there's like a producer over there and then like another laptop over here. But like, I'll be honest with you guys, like 99% of the time, it's us emailing each other ideas. Like that's literally it. Like, it's not like this glamorous, like, all right, there's like a stripper pole here and then like Illmind's here with the keys and then Southside's over here. And when you see pictures like that, and 9 times out of 10, they're not like really making music. You know what I mean? It's like really just us like trading ideas and hanging. And sometimes you do make music, but the collaborative effort is so unique and so different for so many people. It's like it can go, so many different ways.
Definitely.
Yeah.
That same year, 2017, Saint and Huncho Jack on Huncho Check.
Yep.
Travis Scott and Quavo.
Yep.
I think that was with Mike Dean.
Yeah, that was with Murder Beats and Mike. Yeah, Murder Beats and Mike. Again, just working on ideas, and Murder's a young goat right now. You know what I mean? Like, I'm definitely super proud of Murder. Me and Murder started locking in 2015. Hey, we just worked on a bunch of music and landed one over there on the Huncho Jack album.
Didn't you land 2?
Yeah, we did 2 songs on there. That's big. Saint. I did Saint, and what was the name of the other song?
Huncho Jack.
And the title track. That's right.
Right.
Yeah, that's right.
Because that was a big moment. Two of the biggest artists coming together, and you have 2 songs.
Yeah. No, trust me, yeah. Very, very iconic. Definitely an honor to be part of it. And, I feel like those songs still go. Like, those songs still go hard today. Like, 4 years later, 5 years later, those songs still go hard.
Definitely.
In my opinion. Yeah.
When did you link with Stormzy for Wiley Flow?
So Stormzy, I linked up through working with my man A. Who's a producer out in the UK. I believe he's in the UK. And that was just a collaboration. That one ended up being from I think A. had used one of my melody loops on one of my packs, and then that song ended up getting to Stormzy, and then Stormzy used it, and then that's how that song was born. So yeah, that was just like a phone call, like, yo, Stormzy's using this is your thing, whatever, and boom, made the connection.
Wow.
Yeah.
I think I saw you say like in an interview, like to network horizontally, not vertically. How important is that?
Yeah, so would you say how important that is?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So networking horizontally is everything, right? And that's exactly, like, I want you guys to understand, like, all of these placements and all of this music that I'm able to do is all from networking horizontal, meaning I'm working with people right next to me, like that are within proximity, right? And I think when you work with your peers and when you build with genuine people and make genuine connections, all you need really is time, right? Over time, these things will grow, right? When I worked with Sky Zoo in 2010, I had no idea that I would get a Kanye placement 2 years later. But if I never worked with Sky, that never would have happened, right? And then, Lin Manuel Miranda, that would have never happened if I didn't work with Joel Ortiz. And I met Joel Ortiz when I was randomly at Static Selecta's crib.
Wow,
helping him
that's
mix a
another
song.
goat.
Yeah, two years prior to that, Static was working with an amazing artist and one of my friends, actually, Jared Evan, and they called me in to help them mix the album. And when I was leaving, Joel walked in, and I was like, yo, Joel, I got beats for you. And then we ended up 2 years later making an album together. So if that moment never happened, then I would never have been on Hamilton Mixtape.
That's crazy.
Yeah, those songs would never have existed. So I say all that to say that's why it's important to network horizontal and stop chasing. You know what I mean? If you chase, the more you chase, the more you're not going to catch any breaks. The more you're not going to catch anything.
Right.
So look to the sides, focus on what's in front of you, focus on the people that are around you, and let time happen.
Yeah.
Let the universe, that's why I say, like, that was God's work, that was the universe's work, because it was.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like if you were to ask me in 2015 or 2013, like, yo, Lin Manuel Miranda, Hamilton, it's going to be a big thing in 2 years. What are you going to do? I would say, I have no fucking idea. I'm just going to keep doing what I've been doing, which is work with Joel Ortiz at that time.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden that ends up being the gateway towards Lin and Hamilton. So that's how blessings happen. They're layered. Everything's layered, right? You can only see as far as the headlights, like driving a car, but you can't see beyond that, right? Let's say you're driving at night with headlights and you can only see where the headlights stop, but you're driving on a road, but you keep driving, right? You can't see what's beyond the headlights, but you keep driving. And the reason why you keep driving is because you have faith that there's more road for you to keep going. And so it's the same with placements and just being in the industry. You just have to look to the side, don't worry so much, work on the music, and work with your peers, network with the people around you. Don't try to like get to the highest. You're gonna get there, but you have to take steps.
Yeah.
Go here, and then eventually, the universe will lead you towards those things.
Definitely. Heard about us, Jay-Z, Beyonce, Everything Is Love. Shout out to Boy Wonder once again.
I'm telling you, me and Boy Wonder make a lot of music, like so much music. So yeah, Wonder. Definitely.
Where do you guys make music?
We just send each other stuff.
Okay.
Yeah, we send each other stuff. Like I said, like most of this process is us sending each other ideas. So yeah.
Can you talk about that moment? Because actually, yeah, I saw you say Amnesia co-wrote the record. I know
Yep.
she's crazy.
Nisha, I actually met Nisha back in, I think, 2012 or 2013. She was actually interning at Blastoff Studios in New York City. She was a straight up intern.
Crazy.
So I had a
That's
session there one day, and I think she was interning one of my sessions. This was 2012, 2013, I believe. And when that record happened, I connected with Nisha, and I was like, yo, blah, 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 whatever. She gave me her number. And then when I texted her, when I saved her number, it was already on my phone.
Oh.
And it said, Nisha, Blastoff assistant.
Oh my gosh.
On my fucking phone. And I was like, I'm so proud of her, man.
Wow.
Like, she came from fucking being an intern at a studio to then, years later, you wrote, all over one of the biggest songs that year, and now she's out of here. So it's like, it was just really iconic and crazy and just humbling to just be part of that.
Definitely.
Yeah.
That's
and
cool.
that was the first Grammy that I won.
Oh, okay. How did that feel?
Heard About Us, Jay-Z, Beyonce. I mean, crazy, like you're sitting there, Jay-Z, Beyonce, Grammy nomination. I think that time was my 4th or 5th nomination.
Okay.
And then I was sitting there. It was during the pre-recording, and we were there, and we were here in LA at the Grammys, and the award came up on stage, and he said, the award goes to Jay-Z, Beyonce, and yeah, we were tripping, man. I was just like, wow, like we've arrived to a Grammy, right? We finally won a Grammy, and so humbling moment.
For sure. And I know you're heading to the Grammys now. You're also nominated for your work with Nathy Peluso on Sana Sana. How does that feel to be going this year? Yeah.
Amazing. It feels amazing. Yeah, the Grammys is always, the highest honor for a musician. And so definitely honored to be going again and hanging out with the homies.
For sure. Yeah. How do you feel about Drake and Kanye boycotting the Grammys? Kanye's actually nominated.
Yeah. It's, they feel very strongly about how they feel, and I feel them. I feel them. So they want to make their message clear and take a stance, and you have to commend that. So.
Definitely. Really quick, touch on how did X with Schoolboy Q come about? I know that was a big moment.
That's a lot of songs, man.
Right.
I know, it's like a whole thing.
Black Panther soundtrack, though, that was huge.
Yeah. Shout to Top. Shout to all of TDE, K-Dot, Interscope, just Dre. Yeah, it was an honor to be a part of that, man. Just like work with Soundwave on that song, and it was hard to keep it under wraps because when we were doing it, and then I found out it was for Black Panther, I was like, and this was like months before it came out, I was like, oh my God, they're coming out with a Black Panther movie, and it's this, and then it's Kendrick, and I was like, dude, I had to sign an NDA. I was like, dude, I can't wait for the world to hear this.
Right.
So that was surreal. That was a great feeling to have known that before a lot of people. I was like, yo, you guys have no idea what's coming.
Right.
And so, again, to be part of that project, again, an honor.
Definitely. Talk about Hard White with Nicki Minaj. Queen.
Yeah, Hard
That's
White.
the Nicki. Queen.
Yeah, Hard White Nicki. Again, Wonder, man. Me and Wonder just locking in and making a bunch of music. I made that. I composed some of that back in 2014, so like we did that like many years ago, and ended up on Nicki. So just a hard record, man.
Yeah.
Hard record. She did her thing. She smashed it.
Does he just literally be like, hey, so this one was landed on
Yeah. I mean, we're collaborating a lot. We were, especially back then. So, just these records just happen, right? It's like he'll send me, like I'll send him stuff, and he'll send me, what he does, and then it's like, okay, cool. Like, what are we doing with this? You know what I mean? And then we're just like sitting on all this music, and then all of a sudden, you get a phone call that like, you know, you're on a huge album.
Right.
You know, so like I said, that's God. That's the universe.
Yeah. That's and you gonna learn with Eminem?
You gonna learn Eminem. Shout to Royce the 5'9", my man Royce Slaughterhouse. Really, really amazing. Obviously amazing human being. But shout to Royce. Royce made that beat. He just used some of my sounds on it. So.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I composed the main melody on there, and then Royce just like put it together, showed it to Eminem, and the rest was history.
That's another legend.
Shout to Royce.
That's another legend. Mm-hmm. What about Patience, Russ?
Russ, Patience. That was actually, so when me and Russ did that, he said that was one of his favorite like songs coming out at that time, because it was what he was talking about on Patience was really just like a special thing. You know, that was one of many. I mean, me and Russ have albums worth of stuff at this point. I think we have like 10 or 20. We have probably close to 20 songs together. So,
crazy.
Yeah.
That's incredible. Yeah. Real quick, definitely want to touch on your NFT stuff. Mm-hmm. Can you just talk about just this stepping into this space and how lucrative it is right now? Squad of Nights collection. Yeah.
So my NFT Squad of Nights, I know we you know, whoever's listening right now might not really have too much context on like NFTs and what it is, but I'll give you the easiest way to understand this. I've figured out a way to create an NFT project that is a continuation of what I've been doing. So being a music producer with all these placements and all this success since around 2012, like I said, that was my you know, the beginning of like a new direction for what I'm able to do. Since 2012, I've always been extremely inspired by other producers and to bring people together. That's what I've realized is Illmind's job is to bring people together and make incredible music. Bring people together, create music. Bring people together, create music. And so Squad of Nights project is an NFT that I released recently. And its purpose is to bring people together to create music.
Right.
So I'm bringing rappers together, singers, producers, melody makers, musicians, visual designers, audio engineers. And when you bring all these different people with these different skill sets together, you have all the ingredients to make music and to release music. And that's what we're doing with NFT. That's what we're doing with my NFT called Squad of Nights. And so when you purchase a Squad of Night NFT, or if you have one, you gain access to basically a talent hub of a bunch of creative people that are ready, willing, and able to work and create music. And I think that solves the problem of musicians and producers and rappers and singers finding people to collaborate with, right? Collaboration is everything. Like I said, you know, collaboration is what brought me success. Collaboration is what brings all of us success. Without one piece, you can't move forward, right? You need all of the pieces. And that's kind of like intentionally a reference to chess.
Okay.
So I'm a big chess player.
Yeah.
And so each NFT is an image of randomly generative artwork of a knight's piece, so chess
Crazy.
knights. Yeah. And so I'm taking that from chess. But you need all of these pieces to come together to create music. And so I'm basically using Web3 NFT technology to be able to bring these communities together, manage these communities, and allow for them to create all of this IP. And then my job is to help these creative people get together, create relationships with one another, create the music, and kind of just nudge them a little bit and give them a little bit of that spark and that motivation to find other people to collaborate with. And it goes back to what we were saying, networking horizontal. I'm gamifying and rewarding people for networking horizontally, right? I want the next, producer to meet their Joel Ortiz.
Right.
You know what I mean? I want them to meet their Rhyme Fest so that in 2024, 25, some kid that joins Squad of Nights all of a sudden develops an artist, and that artist is like bigger than Lil Nas X or on the same level, right?
Yeah.
And so that's what the purpose is of my NFT, is to bring these communities together, bring these creative people together, create magic, and let me help you curate and let me, gamify the experience and solve that issue of finding people to collaborate with. And
Definitely.
I think it's going to be super amazing. I'm super inspired by all of the community, and all the people that are involved right now.
Right.
We have an insane community, and we're tapping in. Tapping in. We got the metaverse stuff going. We partnered with a company called Moonwalk, who are developers that made all of this possible on a Web3 level. And then we have Mint Songs, who are, in my opinion, the leading platform for NFT music, which I know is a buzzword right now, but Mint Songs is crushing it. You have no idea what they have planned right now.
Right.
And so when you bring all these elements together, it's Squad of Nights.
Wow.
And so I'm out here really building community, continuing what I've been doing for 20 years.
Yeah.
And we're going to see where this goes. But, it's going to be very fun, very interesting to see, what kind of IP and music is brought from this. So the sky's the limit with this project. So if you're interested in knowing more or joining, go to squadofnights.com. We're minting right now. It's available for sale, public sale right now, ends on Sunday, April 3rd at 1 p.m. After that, you have to buy it on secondary market. Go to OpenSea. I don't know how much it's going to cost at that point, but from there, it's go time.
Definitely.
So, yeah.
I love it. 2 more.
Yeah,
I
let's
interviewed
go.
Guapdad 4000 for Vlad.
Mm-hmm.
Talk about working
My brother.
with and I know you just posted it's a 1-year anniversary of 1176.
Guapdad is my brother, man. My half Filipino brother.
Right.
We connected a couple years ago, and I've always been a huge fan of his. I went when we did the Dreamville sessions for the Dreamville compilation. I was hoping to meet him there because I know he was there, but I didn't meet him that night. I met him after. So a couple years ago, I was just in LA. We connected online, and I was like, "Yo, come to the studio." Right? So he came to the studio. He came in like boxers with like shoes and like no shirt. He was just like, "Yo, it's good, whatever." He just came in like,
sounds like him.
Yeah, he said sound like something Guapdad would do.
Yeah.
And we ended up cutting like 5 songs that day. Like
Wow.
we went crazy.
Yeah.
So we just kept working after that, and then we were just like, "Yo, let's just keep going crazy. Let's do an album." So we ended up doing an album, and we connected with 88 Rising.
Yeah.
We picked up the project. They're a
Fire.
label out in Asia, and we ended up, putting together, shooting some videos, and it ended up being what it was. So he came to Jersey for a couple weeks, and we locked in. He stayed at the time, I was actually living in Jersey. So for a couple years ago, last year, a year and a half ago, I lived in Jersey City for a short time. And Guap got a Airbnb in Jersey City. So we recorded a lot of the album there. And we knocked it out. And I still think it's some of his illest shit. Like
For sure.
his what he said on that album and what he did on there was really incredible. We had some really great times.
Definitely. Yeah. I love it. I was gonna ask also, well, you mentioned Dreamville. Talk about doing Omen's new song on the Dreamville Gangsta Girls mixtape.
Yeah, so me and Omen got together a couple years ago. And we made a few songs. That was one of them. Fast forward a couple years later, it's on Gangsta Girls. So, like I said, like universe, God, higher being, whatever you want to call it. You just make music, make a bunch of music. Don't be an asshole. Nurture those relationships. Look left, look right, look forward. Don't look up too much. Don't try to predict and don't try to overthink. Just make music and eventually it'll happen, And I didn't know this was going to happen 2 years ago. Right. But it did.
That's
right.
incredible.
So just persistence, all the buzzwords that they tell you. It's all true. Just work, just have fun. your time will come.
Definitely.
Yeah.
How was the Dreamville sessions for you, the Revenge of the Dreamers?
It's crazy. People making beats in the kitchen and in studio. It was nuts. But it was great, man. And like I said, it's a testament to what happens, you know, when you put people together. Just amazing things happen.
Right.
I didn't even end up getting on the compilation.
Right.
And my room was right next to Cole's. Like,
oh, shoot.
I was there, and then Cole was there. We were in the studio. You know, T- was in the room, and they were working on what's the name of the song? Bum, 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 bum. The one with the horns. It was the Dreamville. It was the single for the Dreamville compilation with the horns on it. I forget the name of it, but T- did it. But we were tripping to that song a year before it even came out, right?
Oh, okay.
So a lot of great moments, and that I met a lot of people for the first time that night. Like I met Monty Booker in person for the first time. Who else did I meet? Reason from TDE.
Okay.
So me and Reason ended up locking in after that. And
Yeah.
I did Showstop for Reason as well after that. So yeah, it was just a great time.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Real quick, were you sad you didn't make the Revenge of the Dreamers thing?
No.
Okay.
I don't really get
it's
jaded.
It's not about that?
Yeah, I don't really get jaded like that anymore because it's like when it comes to music, it's like what's meant to happen is meant to happen. You know, and I know that sounds cliche, but it's really true. You know, if a song isn't meant to be placed somewhere, then, its place will come later, so, yeah.
Definitely. Is there anything else you want to let the people know? What are you most excited for? Anything you want to plug?
Yeah, I got a bunch of music coming out, but honestly, Illmind is in NFT mode right now. I got my NFT hat. So it's all about Squatter Nights. It's all about nurturing that community that I'm building. And I have a lot of big plans, a lot of big plans. We're super, super excited to roll out all the new experiences and challenges and features. Basically, put it this way, Squad of Nights is a community of creative people that I'm going to spoil for the next 4, 5, 6, 10, 20 years. Like, this is a long-term, this is another job for me, So I'm taking all of the things that I did since 2010 and I'm wrapping them up into one NFT. And now I get to just help this community, this one community.
Right.
I get to throw everything into them and just help them in every way possible. And, hopefully it changes some lives.
Yeah,
and at the very least, hopefully they can create, lifelong relationships with one another.
Right.
And if I can accomplish that, then I feel like I did my job.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Wow, man. Well, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it. You're the GOAT. You're a legend.
Oh, man. Thank you, guys. Shout to Vlad TV. Shout to everyone who watched. Man, just keep going. I appreciate your time. And, honestly, after all that, I still feel like I'm getting started.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah, we got a lot of work to do.
That's inspirational
So,
for
yeah,
sure. I'm motivated.
Yeah, let's go. Let's
Thank
get it.
you.
Appreciate you guys.